Hey guys, I have another card for you using the Tags to Go dies. This one I changed it up a little bit, but little Rapunzel inspired card. I was super in love with this paper and I immediately thought of Rapunzel. So anyway, so my ears today are homemade. You know, actually someone gave them to me. They were a gift, and I've done it before where you take the ones from a party and they're the little kid ones. They're actually really comfortable on your head. They don't hurt your head like the other kind. You can get them on Amazon, I think, you know, in like packs of 12, and you can just decorate them. Someone actually gave me this pair, and that was the closest thing I could think of that was Rapunzel-y. So that's today's ears. Yeah. And so they're fun. I've always liked them. They're not as fancy as the, you know, traditional ears you buy in the store, but I actually don't really mind. I like the fact that they're comfortable, and look, it gives me this little 80s little bouffant thing going on. You know, clearly that's what was needed. I'm just saying. Yeah. Anyway, well, I'm glad to show you my new card. I'm super excited to be showing you guys my face again and to talk a little bit to the screen. It's kind of exciting. I don't know. To me, it's fun to do this new format, and thanks for coming along. I really appreciate it. Hey guys, I'm so glad you guys could tune in for my video today with my Rapunzel card. So cute, right? I just thought it turned out, I don't know, I just thought it was really sweet. Just turned out really nice. So let's go ahead and get started. So what we have, today we're gonna be using the dies. I cut out a lock, and I cut out some purple keys because I thought that would be a good idea. And then I'm also using the large flag from the Nested Essentials dies, which I think are still current. I can't quite remember, but these are still current and they're on clearance right now. So just to be aware, I think they're on clearance or sale. I can't quite remember. I just know that these are on sale right now. I think they're on clearance, but I can't really tell. I haven't paid as much attention as maybe I should, you know, because I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator. But as I've told you guys before, I just like doing Disney inspired cards. I just like making cards. It's that simple. So if you didn't see my other videos, I made this Cinderella one on Monday because it's World Princess Week. How pretty is that? And that one was really, really fun. It just turned out so good. I don't know. I just loved how this turned out. And then the other one I made was this Pocahontas card, which I thought was really nice. Now this Pocahontas card, I mean, the other one had the shoe. The Pocahontas theme is based, the coloring really was what made me think of Pocahontas, because she doesn't like have a feather in her hair or anything, but I don't know, just this theming of the colors reminded me of Pocahontas. So that's how I made hers. And she has this little touch of gold on her when she does her, she has that one little piece of jewelry. So anyway, so yeah, so we'll get started. So this, as I did in my other video, I always go down by 1/4 inch for my different layers. So this paper is from I just had it out and then I put it away. It's from the Bloom Impressions paper, and it has such pretty paper in here. I mean, it's just so pretty. And the flowers, it's just so, look at that cute pink one. This one actually got some ideas coming. And so I was like, look how sweet. And look at that pretty one too. Just so, I just thought it's prettier than you think. It seems like I don't know, to me it's prettier than I expected. It was actually originally a celebration paper, but they had extras, so then they put them in, well, we used to have a clearance rack, but now it's like a last chance list, they call it, I think. And so it's on a clearance list now, so that, you know, we can sell out. Our company runs without debt. Stampin' Up, the company, runs without debt, no debt. So they really order in smaller quantities, so that they don't ever overbuy. So if they do, it's rare. So as I was saying about the layers, you always go down by 1/4 inch. So this is 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and I scored it at 5 1/2. And so then, because this is 4 1/4, then that means the next layer needs to be 4 inches. I need to go down an inch. Every time you're you're doing a layer, I go back down by a quarter inch, quarter inch, quarter inch, quarter inch. So if it was 3 inches, I would go down to 2 3/4. Okay, so that's how I always do the math. You don't have to know all the fractions, but you do have to know how to read a basic ruler. The longest one is the inch, and then the next size down are the quarter inch, and then the next size from that are the 1/8 of an inch, and the next size below that would be the 1/16 of an inch, which is really tiny. Like this is an 1/8 of an inch. An 1/8 of an inch looks about like this, like the purple. A 1/16 of an inch, you can barely even tell that you have cardstock on the layer. It's like it's so basic, you really can't even tell. But a 1/4 of an inch, it's a little, I mean, an 1/8 of an inch, it's a little bit bigger. But if I'm gonna do all this cutting, I want you to see my layer. So that's usually why I use that 1/4 inch layer. And to me, it's just a little bit easier. So the yellow flowers is 3/4 of an inch by 5. And the stems of the flower, if you look at your paper carefully, you'll see that the stems of the flower do have a direction, but honestly, it's such a busy little paper, you might not even notice if you put it on upside down. And yeah, so we'll start with that. So that's our basic, our general card base, nothing too crazy or fancy about it. But the ribbon stuff will obviously be fancier. So we've got our stamping that we need to do. I'm having trouble letting, oh no, I got rid of the broken, oh no, I didn't get rid of the broken ruler, but I need to because it gave me a splinter. I've had this ruler for like 20 years. Look, the cat bit it. I've had it for probably 30 years. I'm kind of sad that it broke, but it gave me a splinter, so I really do need to get rid of it. I hate that it has the metal end though. And that's why I just need to find another ruler that has a metal end. This one doesn't have metal, it has plastic. So I need to really search and find one with a metal end. I just like the metal end because then it doesn't break or, you know. I'm sure this plastic one will last for a good while, but I just like that metal edge. I guess I'm old school. So, okay. So for our stamps today, the stamps we're using are from Paper Pumpkin sets. This is why Paper Pumpkin is such a good product. Paper Pumpkin is a kit that comes in, like, this one's a fancy one. This one was a specialized one. Normally it comes in an orange box, but inside the kit, you'll have everything you need to make a bunch of cards or some kind of project. Well, when you're done with the kit, you have stamps left. So then what do you do with the stamps? Well, I use these stamps, I think, more than I use the stamps I buy from the company because they're just really, really versatile. So honestly, I have never regretted basically any of the Paper Pumpkin kits I've ever had. Even if I didn't really love the kit, I made the item, or I sold the kit to a friend who wanted the kit. You know what I mean? Like, it's so rare that I didn't love everything that was in the kit. I can only think of 2 times, I think, where I didn't do a Paper Pumpkin kit, and the rest of the time I kept them all. I kept all the stamps, or I ordered even doubles. So anyway, the stamps in those kits are well worth their money. I think the kits are like $25 now, so you can check that out. So for my basic, so I got the Nested Essentials flag that I told you guys about, and I'm using a sun, and I don't know if you saw the sun, but the sun, I thought, even though it's not an exact Rapunzel look, it's, you know, gives you the gist of what we need, which is, remember, the sun is what she kept seeing in her mind and imagining. It's because it was the symbol of her kingdom, and so I thought this sun was perfect, and it's like the perfect size for this flag. And I don't know if you remember from the movie, it was the purple flag that kind of finally gave her the put the light bulb on to help her realize what she to help her realize what she had forgotten. So let me check and see. I think I have a little scrap of paper. I do. I do have a scrap of the yellow. Okay. So that's the sun. And then the inside of the card, I had these extra little scraps of yellow. So I wanted to go ahead and use these extra scraps. Whoopsie. Because they're so cute. Except I think I'm going to put this one on the inside. Yeah. Normally I don't put it on the, normally I put it on the very edge, but this time I think I'm going to put it on the inside. And then I'm going to stamp my key, and the key came from this one came from the key. This is the Key to Your Heart paper pumpkin, and this one is the Box of Sunshine paper pumpkin, the stamps that are sunshine related. I've used this key stamp in several videos this week because it's just so perfect. That's so cute. Because on my original card, I put one in the corner. I like the yellow here and the purple here. This looks cute. I like that look. To me, it looks more finished. So I like that. Oops, I still need the purple. I need it for my sentiment. So my sentiment is sending sunshine, which again, I'm using that paper pumpkin. Oops, there's some cat hair floating on it. So, you know, such is life. Yes, I'm a cat lady. All right, so I love this sun. It's just so cute. Okay, so then let me make sure this is inked up. Okay, so then the sunshine, I'm stamping across in Gorgeous Grape. So if I didn't tell you already, it's a tiny bit crooked, I can see, but not enough to where I would re-stamp the whole thing. This is Gorgeous Grape, Highland Heather, and then the Bloom Impressions paper. So Gorgeous Grape again. So then and then the sending, I'm going to stamp between the S and the H. And yeah, it's a tiny bit crooked, but because the font is so swirly, I'm not going to redo it. If it was really, really crooked, I would redo it. But honestly, it's not. I'm good. I'm good. I'm okay with it. So, so we're good there. And let me glue our card inside. So I always put this white card inside, especially on the dark paper. Thanks for tuning in. I'm excited to do this in this format where you can see my ears and stuff. I just think it's fun. Because I've missed that part, you know. And it was only because, you know, the stand was breaking, and so I had to stop. So, okay, there we go. So we've got our basic cards all set. Moving my stamps over so I don't put my card on top of my stamps, which I have done, or my stamp pad, which I have done also. So let me just slide these away so they're out of the way. Cool. All right, so we've got our sentiment. Then I'm gonna need, we've got our dimensionals here. I'm gonna need my little lighter, and I'm gonna need a key and a lock, and our ribbon and our little, maybe some, yeah, it's a little washi tape. There we go. I had this over to the side and then it got mixed up. So we're gonna punch out we're gonna punch out just a little circle with this half inch circle punch. You don't need to have, it doesn't need to be exactly that shape. It just needs to be large enough to glue over the back of this lock. And yeah, so that's about it. I'm taking the same idea I used with the Cinderella, but I thought, how cool would it be to make a key, because Rapunzel's locked in the tower. I thought I should use the lock. And I was going to use the lock and the key, like hanging separately on the braid, but that was like, it just didn't look right. You know, to me, it just didn't seem like enough. So I thought, what if I made a Rapunzel key? And actually, they made I guess, some pins at one point that were locks with keys that matched characters and stuff. I happened to see it on a video. You know, YouTube will show you different things, but actually what I was thinking of is there was a purse, a Dooney and Burke purse that was made with the princesses. The design of it was to have the princesses, and it had each key looked like a princess, essentially. It had the design of a princess on it. Like the shell was clearly Ariel, the shoe was clearly, you know, so I took the inspiration from Dooney and Burke's design, which I'm sure they got from somewhere else, you know, who knows. But I thought that was cool. It was like a very light pink, and it had very, very light pink. And then it had and then it had these black keys on them, and each key, though, you could just tell as soon as you looked at the key which princess it was for. I think for Jasmine, it was like a genie lamp for Jasmine. Okay, so there we go. So now we've got our key. Good. So that's all set. That's all set. Whoops. The cat hair is like killing me. And then my own hair. That was my hair just now. Goodness gracious. I'm like losing my hair. Good times. So now the hardest part, I'll be honest, is this braid. Braiding is easy. Braiding is easy as a whole. But the problem is just you have to make sure you have to make sure you have enough ribbon. So it wastes a little bit of ribbon to do this card, but the effect to me is really worth it, so I'm okay with it. This is Darling Duckling faux linen ribbon, which is current, and it's on sale right now, this ribbon, so that's good. My friend Candy happened to have it. I was like, I need ribbon. I think this is approximately, I think I cut approximately, yeah, so let's see. I cut approximately 16, 17 inches. Because again, it's rough. And so it's a little bit long. I normally wouldn't waste any ribbon, but because I need to do the braiding uses a lot of fabric or trim or whatever you're using. I don't know if you've ever knew that, or if you're not a seamstress, you might not know that. So, but it does. It uses a lot of ribbon, a lot of trim. So it's just better to be safe than sorry. But to me, the effect is really good, so I was okay with it. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna line your ends up together and tie a knot. And I want my faux velvet to be like popping at the top, hopefully, but we'll just tie a little knot. I don't want to waste too much of the ribbon, so I just got to make sure all 3 strands go through. Like that strand isn't going through. Right now, as you're beginning the braid, it's not as big a deal, but at the end, ugh. So this is a little fussy. I'm not going to lie. I'm just going to warn you. So I'm going to tie a nice tight knot, just so that I know that this will, well, this part I cut off the knot in the end, but so, and then I'm going to use my washi tape to get it to just stay still on my desk. And hopefully I'm underneath the camera. Yeah, I am. Because I'm not doing this on Facebook Live. If you used to watch me on Facebook Live, they changed their rules on videos, and it just didn't make sense for me to do these lives, you know, when, wait. Okay, so, okay, the key is you don't flip. Your natural instinct when you're braiding is to flip. Don't flip. Just glide the ribbon over and glide the ribbon over. So the beginning of your braid will look a little funny. Just give it a minute and glide the ribbon over. And because there's a back side to the velvet, and the braid just doesn't look right when you do the ribbon too tight, because this ribbon is it just too wide or something, I don't know. So just glide the ribbon over, glide it over. Don't twist, don't twist, but you want to make sure the front of your, that you want to make sure that the top of your, okay, yeah, I almost lost my place. There we go. Glide over the top, glide over the top. There we go, I'll just move it here. Glide over the top, but I gotta keep it tight enough. Okay, whoops. Glide over the top. And you just keep doing that until you have your braid. So it's a little opposite than the way you would do a traditional braid in your hair. Like when I do a braid in my hair, it's tight. And so I haven't let my hair grow long in a long time. Right now it's getting a little bit too long. Probably gonna cut it. I don't like my hair in my face. Well, I'm in Texas, so it just gets hot. And so, okay, there we go. There we go, glide over the top. Again, glide over the top, glide over the top. And I think I have just enough. I think I've got enough there. Yeah, so I'm wasting a little bit here, but I think a little bit more, and then I can tie my knot. Okay. And then I'm gonna tie a knot at the end here. And it's a little tricky, but just be patient with me. Just hold tight, be careful not to let your braid get too loose in this process. So that's what makes it a little bit fiddly. There we go, it's all right, it's holding, it's holding, there we go. And so, but I needed to make sure I had a tight enough braid, but then also a good tight knot. And notice I still have enough to trim off, and that's what the lighter's for as well. So I'm making this braid nice and tight. It's a nice tight little knot at the end because I don't want the knot to be super loose either, because then it looks like a messy braid, and I don't want that either. So, all right, so now that we've got our braid, and if it starts to look funny, poke your braid back up. Sometimes as I'm adjusting it, the braided part will start to tip back down, and that's what makes it look a little less like a braid. But don't go and mess with it, because the braiding is the hardest part. So then I'm going to take that piece of washi tape. I've got my label. So I then am going to wrap it, because I want it to come down like right here. And that's a little bit long. I've got to also add my little key to the end. So let me add my key with my ribbon. Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. Okay. And I'm using, this is the Fresh Freesia Velvet ribbon. So if I didn't describe that, sorry. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. Again, I'm probably wasting a little bit, but again, because I don't want the back side of the Fresh Freesia to show, I gotta make sure that it's right side. Okay, that I have plenty of ribbon to make, and it's really hard to tie a bow with a tiny bit of ribbon. On a project like this, I don't mind wasting a little ribbon, but on my other projects, I'm usually a little more frugal with my ribbon. It's all in what you're willing to commit to. All right, let me go ahead and lightly tie down my lock. I don't want to pull too tightly, because I have to make sure the lock can come up to the top of the knot here. And you don't want to pull too hard, because it is just cardstock, you know? So you got to be careful. And then I'm tying my bow through. So why is it coming out like that? Why is my bow looking so funny? It's upside down. How did I tie it upside down? Maybe I should tie it like this and then it'll be right side up. It's funny how like your hands are used to doing a certain thing and then all of a sudden you're changing the way you do it and your brain like can't comprehend it. Ah, there we go. Perfect. Okay, it's getting just right. And it's a little slick, this ribbon, so be careful. And this knot is big. It's a bulky card. It's a bulky card. I'm not gonna pretend. It's a bulky card, but the effect is worth it, especially if you have a friend that loves Rapunzel. So I'm not gonna do any trimming on that yet. I wanna wait till the very end because I wanna get my braid in place. So we have our label that's gonna go right here. So I just need to see where I wanna position my, I wanna see where I'm gonna position my lock. I'm gonna put a dimensional on the back so that it pops up a little. Part of me likes when it was going over the edge of it. It's a little long. Yeah, it's a little too long today, but that's okay. Pop that back up, pop it back up. There we go. Oops, there we go. Pop that way. Too long, too long. Yeah, I wasted quite a bit. So we want this to just kind of come down around. Come on, why is that twisting like that? There we go. Okay, holding that there. We want my key right here. There we go. That's what I needed to do. I need to, and it should naturally, let it curve where it's gonna go. You know, on my original, it naturally curved down over the edge of the flag, which was so cool. But maybe I need to start with that. Maybe have it a little upside down and flip it. And maybe that will help me get it the right side up. It still needs to be shorter. There we go. There we go. Because you don't want it to be like so 3D that it's like unwieldy. So I think that is going to be okay. And I'll put like a little glue dot here, I think. So it holds it down. And then we'll see where the key winds up. So what I need to do now is I need to just kind of hold this here a sec. And I moved it again. And get some tape. Oh, tear and tape first. I'm gonna put some tear and tape down first. So let me let that sit there a second. It moved on me again. Tear and tape first. Tear and tape's pretty strong. It'll hold most of the ribbon down, but I'm gonna add some Scotch tape too to make sure the bulk stays down. And again, it's a little fussy, but so cute. And I kind of want this crooked in here. There we go. There we go. Okay, so we've got that down. Then we're gonna trim off this end. Again, see, look, I wasted quite a bit of that ribbon, which is a bummer, but let me trim off this little edges here. And then I'm putting some Scotch tape across. kind of hold it in place as I put my dimensionals down. I threw my scissors in the garbage. Nice. Just want to make sure that's nice and solid. Then I'm going to put some tear and tape across the top as backup. Even though there's no dimensionals that I'm putting on it, it's just kind of a nice extra, I don't know, to me, I just liked having the extra so that it wouldn't come up. I don't know. In my mind, I think it's going to work better for some reason. It's probably not, but in my brain it will. Okay, so we'll put some dimensionals on the end here. Definitely need 3 dimensionals on the edge. Then we have to see where it's going to sit. And so I can put them across the middle and maybe one right there under the sunshine, or across the bottom, one right there. Definitely can put them across the bottom. And I can put a couple over here on this corner of the flag right here. I put a lot of dimensionals on my stuff, so no shame in that. I'm like, genuinely have no shame in it. It's the one thing I spend extra on. I'm willing to spend extra on. You know, some people are willing to spend lots of extra on ribbon or whatever. Nope, not me. I'll get that on clearance, but I'll definitely spend extra on my dimensionals. And the Stampin' Up! Dimensionals are so good. I don't know, they're better than other dimensionals and foam adhesives, in my opinion. All right, there we go. We've got that. Okay, oh, I made the label a little higher. I'll put a little glue dot here so it holds the braid down just a touch. And then we'll move this key around so that it can do that. All right, so now that we know our piece is gonna be, I don't wanna put anything on the key or anything. I gotta burn off the ends of this here real quick, because just a little flame across the end of your ribbon, most synthetic ribbon, just needs to be sealed. You know, like on the edge of a backpack, you know how the edges of your backpack will be sealed up? That's all they do, is they just take a heat tool across it. Let me do one flagged tail here and one flagged tail there. Be careful, obviously, when you're doing that. And then I'll just nip that. And so there we go. There we go. Just, you know, you just hold it away from your paper, you know, like it might not have seemed like it was far enough away, but trust me, it was. It's hard from where you're looking down. It might seem like it's worse than it is, but trust me, I wouldn't be careless, you know, especially with fire, you know. And paper. Like, okay, so we've got our key. I think it's just naturally going right here. So I think we'll put one little glue dot there, but I might not need it. I'm definitely going to put some glue dots here. Some dimensionals on the edge of the key, but having it wrapped down, like on this one, it naturally wrapped down, but it's a little shorter. You see how it's a little shorter? So it naturally wrapped down. So maybe if it was shorter, it would have wrapped, but I'm just kind of letting it go where it wants to, because the more you pull and prod on it, the more you're going to get resistance on the key and it just becomes a mess. So I tend to trim off the edge of the mini dimensionals in order to get foam on, little tiny pieces of foam on the back of these narrow little pieces. I mean, look, it's like a little piñata little thing there. That's how I personally get my tiny pieces of foam. There we go. Okay, and just naturally let it go where it wants to go. And it's telling me it wants to go right there. And that's still not the worst, you know. Actually, I don't think I'm gonna put a dot. And it'll smush a little in the envelope. Again, this isn't one you would mail in a traditional mail. You know, you definitely would have to like give this in a gift, or you would have to, you would need to give this in a gift, or you would have to put it inside a package because the bulkiness of this card is way too much. So then I'm gonna add a couple of the darker, I like the darker gems with this particular card. And these are the purple fine shimmer gems. And I'm gonna go ahead and put, whoops, that one's sticker came off. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put my little Mickey. It's not so hidden because it's like pretty obvious, but put my little hidden Mickey here. So cute. There we go. Plenty of shimmer and shine and cuteness all in one card. How fun is that? So that's our card for today. Thanks for tuning in. If you wanted it, now that I look at the two, I think how I got that, I think my braid was a little tighter. It looks like this one's maybe a little looser. Looks like my braid might have been a little bit tighter and it was a little bit shorter. So here I was trying not to tie it too tight, and then look at the one that I did before was actually better, but you know, they're gonna they're gonna vary from card to card, you know, so yeah, so live and learn. But yeah, so that's our card. So thanks for tuning in, and I appreciate you guys, and I hope you have a great, fabulous Labor Day. Bye.